Gen 5 is where we almost officially have no more, bad Pokemon in battle. We're running them all, and of course I mean for playthroughs, but even this unassuming rock bug has 85 defense, 65 attack, and pretty solid HP and speed. Both of its abilities are pretty useful too. Its move pool is okay early on with Withdraw, Smackdown, and Bug Bite, but adding Slash, Rock Slide, and Stealth Rocks later on is really nice. Its main drawback is its later evolution, where Dwebble will drop off pretty hard. 3 stars in battle prowess. You can get it after the 3rd gym in Unova and its sequels, then before the 2nd in Kalos, and then after you unlock Sandstorm and Galar, so after the 3rd gym. And Dwebble's availability still averages to 4.5 stars, which I feel like every single Unova Pokemon has gotten. But as for concept, I have a special guest coming on the Crustle episode to explain it much better than I can. But simply put, it's a hermit crab that uses rocks as shells. But instead of finding said rocks, it melts a hole in them using the liquid that it secretes from its mouth. Okay, first triple type confirmed, I guess. Still though, I think about 3 stars is fair. And you guys know I'm a sucker for bug types, but Dwebble is kind of adorable. It is very simple. There's not a lot going on in this design to make it very interesting or unique at all. However, it still looks really good. You can tell it packs a punch with those big, meaty claws! And his little eye things are cute. It's a good design, 3.5 stars, which will bury little Dwebble in the middle ground of 3.5 stars overall. Crustle is, I guess, an interesting Pokemon that some love way more than others. We're running them all, and I have another special guest for you guys on this episode, but for now, this thing is kind of a monster in battle, actually. Bug Rock is not a bad typing at all, with very few weaknesses, which pairs nicely with either one of its defensive abilities and its 125 defense. 105 attack is nothing to scoff at either, and its move pool is kind of amazing. Stealth Rock, Rock Slide, X-Scissor, Shell Smash, TMs like Earthquake, Rock Polish, and Swords Dance. I feel like I'm going crazy for saying this, but that's at least 4.5 stars in battle prowess. Availability is right on the cusp of whether or not I would give it a penalty, but I don't think I will here, so it'll stay Dwebble's 4.5 stars. So now I'll hand it off to someone who can explain its concept far better than I can.
Crustle's concept seems relatively straightforward at first glance. The typing may seem arbitrary until you realize that hermit crabs are actually not born with their own shells. They take the discarded shells from sea snails. Sea snails, by contrast, actually do grow their own shells. They excrete a combination of calcium carbonate as well as other organic proteins that build up in layers to create the strength that they need for their shell. But you might be thinking, Finn, you're talking about sea snails, this is a tangent, what are you talking about? Stay with me. I've been known to drop a rock fact every once in a while, and did you know that the sedimentary rock limestone is primarily made of calcium carbonate? Now, with sedimentary rocks, you'll typically see them with a lot of banding as they like to layer on top of each other, but they're not very sturdy until they are put under high pressure over a long period of time, closer to the Earth's crust. That pressure over a long period of time lets them take on some metamorphic properties as it turns into what's called a gneiss. A paradise to be exact, which tends to look like this. That looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? All of this context coming together in what would otherwise be a really simple design makes the Crustle Lion a paradise Pokemon, if I do say so myself. Overall, I would give Crustle's concept a 4.5 stars because although that's really interesting to me, it does make the concept rather unapproachable to get to the core of what makes Crustle a really cool Pokemon. Crustle's design is really solid overall. It's not super flashy, which I do think that leads it to be forgotten by a lot of the fans sometimes. I really do think that its simplicity lends itself well to what the Pokemon is trying to accomplish. It has a very unified, almost monochromatic color palette that I think feels very chic, as well as a very shapy design presence that lends itself well to really any art style, which makes it a very versatile Pokemon for Pokemon card art. Crustle also has a very clear and distinguishable silhouette, which is a design principle drilled into the head of every illustrator studying character design. I would give the overall design 5 stars.
And this is the fun part of this series and Pokemon as a whole. We all have very different favorites and opinions. I personally would have given it a 3.5 in concept and about a 3 in design. So for now, I'll meet in the middle and go with 4 stars in both, but let me know which one you agree with as I am open to change. Oh, and Crustle's final score is 4.25 stars, so it's in the top 5 for now.